All right, Goku and Marvel, episode 3. The Panther guides the monkey's paws. And this will be one of Goku's training arcs, so let's get into it. Goku stepped out of the Wakanda infirmary, the sterile scent of herbs and vibranium infused medicine still clinging to his bandages. The moment the door slid open, he was met with the hardened gaze of the Dora Milaje, their spears held at the ready, their postures rigid with suspicion. He blinked at them and tilted his head. Hey. The warriors didn't respond. Their eyes tracked his every movement, fingers tightening around their weapons. Goku wasn't offended. Craven had taught him that predators always watched potential threats. Still, though, he wasn't in the mood for another fight. Not yet, anyway. So with a shrug, he walked past them, his bare feet padding softly against the polished vibranium floors. The door didn't stop him, but their stares burned into his back like laser sights. Relax, he called over his shoulder, grinning. If I wanted trouble, I wouldn't be the one that's walking away from you. One of the warriors, the tallest, with scars lining her arms, narrowed her eyes. Then where are you going, outsider? Goku stretched, rolling his shoulders. To find the king, he said. He said he'd teach me something, and I don't like waiting around. The door exchanged glances. They had orders not to harm him unless provoked. But trust? That was another matter entirely. Before they could respond, though, Goku was already moving, his tail flicking idly as he strode down the hall. The palace was huge, but his nose caught T'Challa's scent outside. It was musky, regal, with a hint of some foreign-like herb that had a sharp tang to it. He'd find him soon enough, and then the real training would begin. The roar of warrior falls filled the air as Goku approached the mist cooling his bruised skin. T'Challa stood at the edge, silhouetted against the crashing water. His vibranium suit retracted to a simple black tunic for a second. He turned as Goku's footsteps crunched against the gravel, one eyebrow lifting slightly. You heal fast, T'Challa remarked, his voice carrying over the thunder of the falls, even for someone of your unique physiology. Goku grinned, rolling his shoulders, where the Panther's kinetic blast had struck. I've had worse. I once had a Triceratops gore me clean through. That took a week to patch it up. T'Challa's lips twitched, but his gaze remained stern. Do not mistake my mercy for weakness. Goku. Which, his name would be Dimitri in this, but I'm just going to say Goku because it's more simple. What comes next will not be as simple as brawling in the streets. He gestured to the falls. Wakanda's trials are not just tests of strength, but of mind, of spirit. You will be pushed beyond your limits. Goku smirked, widened, his tail flicking eagerly behind him. Good. I'd have been pissed if this was easy. T'Challa studied him for a long moment before nodding. Then we begin now. Without warning, he stepped backward and dropped straight off the cliff. Goku lunged forward, peering over the edge just in time to see T'Challa land gracefully on a narrow ledge halfway down, his posture very relaxed, as if he'd merely stepped off a porch. The king looked up, eyes glinting with challenge. Well, he called, or do you need an invitation? Goku's blood sang, and finally with a whoop he leapt after him, the wind whipping past his face as the fall swallowed his laughter whole. The year that followed was unlike anything Goku had experienced in the Savage Lands. Craven had taught him to hunt, to kill even, and to survive, but T'Challa was refining him. Under the Black Panther's guidance, Goku's raw power was honed into something sharper, deadlier. The first lesson was adaptability. Wakanda's training grounds were nothing like the untamed wilds of the Savage Land. Here, every surface was a weapon, every shadow a potential threat. T'Challa forced Goku to fight on shifting platforms, across narrow vibranium beams, suspended over bottomless drops, and even atop the rushing currents of warrior falls. A warrior who cannot bend will break, T'Challa had said, demonstrating a fluid dodge that turned an opponent's momentum against them, teaching Goku how to train his flexibility. Goku, used to overpowering his foes with brute force, initially struggled with this, but soon his body adapted. Flexibility seemed to be ingrained in his DNA after a while. He learned to twist midair like a jungle cat, to roll with blows rather than absorb them, and to use his tail for balance in ways even Craven hadn't taught him. By the end of the third month, he could slither through a gauntlet of swinging vibranium blades without even catching a scratch. Craven had trained Goku to react, but T'Challa trained him to think in the midst of battle. The Dora Milaje drilled him in Wakanda's ancient martial forms, forcing him to anticipate rather than just counter. Sparring sessions became chess matches. Every strike a calculated move, every feint a potential trap. At first, Goku hated it. Why overcomplicate things? If I'm stronger, then I win, he'd grumble after another loss to Oki's spearwork. T'Challa's response was to blindfold him. Strength means nothing if you cannot see the battlefield. Deprived of sight, Goku learned to read opponents by the shift of air, the faintest scuff of a boot, the tension in a breath before a strike. By the 6th month, he could dismantle a training drone's attack pattern in seconds with his eyes closed. The final test was speed, not just movement, but processing speed. Wakanda's holographic training systems pushed Goku to his limits, projecting dozens of attackers at once. Some were real and some were illusions. A hesitation meant a vibranium-tipped staff to the ribs. Your body is dangerous, but your mind must be the trigger, T'Challa instructed, watching as Goku weaved through a storm of energy blasts, with his tail flicking to adjust his balance mid-dodge. The pinnacle came in the 11th month when T'Challa unleashed a prototype sonic disruptor, a device that warped depth perception and delayed neural responses. Goku, dazed and disoriented, was pummeled relentlessly until something clicked. His Saiyan instincts fused with Wakandan discipline suddenly had him moving between the delays, striking before the disruptor's effects could register. When the dust settled, T'Challa lowered his claws, impressed. You adapted. Goku simply wiped the blood from his lip and grinned. I think I have a good teacher. By year's end, Goku was no longer just a force of nature. He was a tactical force of nature. His flexibility bordered on the inhuman. His combat IQ had tripled, and his reflexes could outpace even the Panther stealth tech. But the greatest change wasn't physical. It was the hunger in Goku's eyes, not just for the fight, but for a challenge. At first, the Dora Milaje had seen Goku as nothing more than a reckless outsider, an untamed beast who had disrespected Wakandan's borders and even their king at certain points. But over time, something did shift in them. It started during training spars. Goku never was one to hold back. He would leap into their drills with a fearless grin, trading blows with warriors that were twice his age. He lost more than he won in the beginning, but his sheer enthusiasm was infectious. Where others bowed respectively after a match, Goku would bounce back up, bruised but beaming, demanding a retry again. Oki, ever the stern general, had been the hardest to win over, but even she couldn't suppress a smirk when Goku, after being disarmed for the 10th time, used his tail to trip her mid-strike. Cheeky little monkey, she'd grumbled, though there was no real heat in her words. The younger Dora, like Ayo and Anika, took to him fastest. They teased him mercilessly and called him Little Lion, after his tattered savage land cloak. But they also taught him Wakandan battle chants, laughing when he butchered the pronunciation in return. He showed them how to throw Kraven's hunting knives. Though Oki promptly banned that. We are not barbarians. By the end of the year, Goku had carved out a strange but undeniable place among them, like a wild little brother, too reckless to trust with diplomacy, but too strong to ignore when you needed help in a battle. From the moment Goku had set foot in Wakanda, Princess Shuri had been fascinated with him, not by his strength, though that was impressive, but by what he was. Her scans had revealed anomalies no Wakandan database could explain, a skeletal density far beyond human limits, a muscle structure that regenerated at an accelerated rate, and that tail was flexible, yet it could be strong enough to shatter stone when provoked. And then there was the energy. Every time Goku fought, Shuri's instruments picked up faint, fluctuating readings, something alive within his cells, a power source she couldn't quite quantify as of yet. So naturally, she poked. Hold still. Goku blinked as Shuri circled him in her lab, a holographic display flickering around them. She tapped a bead on her wrist, and a thin beam of light scanned his tail for the 5th time that week. You do this every time, Goku said, scratching his head. I told you, it's just my tail. Shuri scoffed. Just a tail. Please, this thing is a biomechanical marvel. The musculature alone suggests it's designed for balance, combat and maybe even for transformation. That I'm not clear yet. And there's even nerve clusters. She pinched the tip and Goku yelped, snatching it away. And hypersensitive. Fascinating. Goku rubbed his tail protectively. You're worse than Craven. Shuri smirked. And yet, you keep coming back. Because despite her endless tests, Shuri was different from the other Wakandans. She didn't treat him like a threat or a student, just a puzzle to solve. And in return, she listened. When he mentioned how Craven had trained him with spears, she raised an eyebrow. When he demonstrated his agility with the staff during training, she took notes. And when he offhandedly mentioned how much he missed the weight of a good weapon, she got to work in secret. On the eve of Goku's departure, something that Goku didn't even know was about to happen yet, Shuri summoned him to her lab. For you, she said, tossing him a sleek crimson staff. Goku caught it mid-air and nearly dropped it in surprise. The weight was perfect, but the material... Vibranium? Shuri grinned. Yes, a prototype. Lightweight, but nearly indestructible. Watch. With the flick of her wrist, the staff extended, doubling in length in an instant. Another twist and a blade snapped out from one end, transforming it into a spear. Goku's eyes lit up. Whoa. I call it the power pole, Shuri said, smug. Collapsible for travel and short distance combat, waited for impact, and she tapped the hidden panel. The blade retracted and the staff hummed, vibrating slightly. I can slightly adjust the density, hit the switch, and it'll strike even harder like a hammer. This is amazing. Shuri crossed her arms. Of course it is. I made it. Then softer. Just don't lose it. Understand? And if you do end up fighting some alien or something, please take notes. I want data so I can prepare Wakanda better for extraterrestrial threats. Goku laughed at that, slinging the power pole over his shoulder. Deal. For the first time since leaving the Savage Lands, he had a weapon worthy of his own strength. And Wakanda had given him more than that. It had given him a complete introduction into technology. Now it was time to see what the rest of the world had to offer. Goku had barely left the lab when Shuri tapped her chemio beads, summoning T'Challa. Her brother arrived swiftly, his legal composure unshaken, though his eyes held a trace of curiosity. You called. Shuri didn't waste time. With a flick of her wrist, holographic scans of Goku's physiology illuminated the room. Bone density charts, cellular regeneration rates, and the tail's neural mapping that was connected with his spine. Brother, she said bluntly, Dimitri, or whatever his real name is not human. T'Challa didn't react immediately. His gaze lingered on the data, absorbing the implications. The readings were off the charts. Muscle fibers that could withstand impacts that would pulp a normal human man, a metabolism that burned energy at an impossible rate, and most tellingly, traces of an unidentified bioenergy signature that flared whenever he was in the middle of combat. Yeah, I suspected as much, T'Challa admitted at last. Shuri blinked. You knew? Not the specifics, he clarified. But no normal human moves like he does. No human heals like he does. And no human child, no matter how well trained, could have matched me in combat the way he did at his age. Shuri crossed her arms. And you didn't think to mention this before I spent months running tests. A faint smirk tugged at T'Challa's lips. Would it have changed your approach? No, she conceded. But still, you let me think I was discovering some grand secret. T'Challa excelled, his amusement fading. The question was never what he is. It was whether he was a threat to Wakanda. Shuri gestured to the scans. Well, biologically, he's a walking potential superweapon. But psychologically, she pulled up another screen, brainwave analysis, behavioral patterns. He's about as malicious as an untrained puppy. A very destructive puppy, but still. T'Challa nodded. His nature is violent, but his intent is pure. He doesn't seek conquest, only challenge. So what now? Shuri asked. Do we tell him? T'Challa considered it. Not yet. If he doesn't know what he is, there may be a reason for that. And until he asks or until the truth becomes necessary, we let him remain as he is. Shuri sighed. You realize one day he's going to punch a hole into something eventually, right? Undoubtedly, T'Challa said dryly. But when he does, it won't be Wakanda's problem. Outside, the distant sound of Goku's whooping echoed through the palace grounds as he tested his new power pole against a training drone. T'Challa allowed himself a small smile. Yes, we'll let the rest of the world deal with him and his wild nature. Goku spun the power pole in his hands, the vibranium humming as it cut through air. The weight was perfect, balanced, yet heavy enough to crack stone if he swung it right. But as he practiced, his mind wasn't on the weapon. It was on T'Challa's words that he had in this year of training. And this is the words that he remembered the most. You are not normal, so do not pretend to be. At first, Goku hadn't fully understood. Craven had trained him to embrace his strength, to push his body to his limits, but he had never framed it as something separate from himself. To Craven, strength was just another tool, like a knife or a spear. But T'Challa, he saw it differently. He saw something different within Goku himself. Look at me. My suit is not just armor, the king had told him. It is an extension of my will. I do not fight in it. I fight through it. My mind commands and the vibranium answers. Goku had frowned. But I don't have a suit. T'Challa had smirked. Don't you? Now, standing in the Wakandan training grounds, Goku finally grasped what he meant. His body was his suit. Every muscle, every bone. His body wasn't just the body of a normal human. It was something more. Something that could be honed, upgraded, and even mastered. Craven had taught him to use his strength. T'Challa was teaching him to command it. Goku exhaled, slowing his movements instead of just swinging the power pole with brute force. He focused on the flow, the way his muscles tensed and released, the way his tail adjusted his balance mid-motion, like it was a Panther suit. He imagined his body as something external, a weapon he could refine. When he leapt, he didn't just jump. He calculated. His legs coiled up like springs, his trajectory adjusting mid-air as if his very bones were vibranium laced. When he struck, he didn't just hit, he channeled. Energy surged from his core through his arms into the staff. Each movement was precise and controlled. It wasn't about holding back. It was about directing his energy into stronger attacks. But T'Challa had also given him another piece of wisdom. One that struck to him as well. No matter how far your abilities take you, never forget where you stand. Goku wasn't from Wakanda. Hell, T'Challa wasn't even sure that Goku was from Earth. But this planet had shaped him. Craven had given him the heart of a hunter. T'Challa had given him the mind of a real warrior. T'Challa had given him, and now, as he stood under the open sky, the power pole resting on his shoulder, Goku made a silent promise. He would embrace what he was, whatever that meant, but he would never lose who he was. Right? Or he would perfect what he was, but he would never lose who he was. At his core, he was a hunter, he was a fighter, he was a student who was raised on the earth. With a grin, he snapped the staff back into his compact form and tucked it away, ready for whatever was going to come next. The morning sun cast long shadows across the Wakandan training grounds as T'Challa found Goku mid-drill. The power pole was a crimson blur in his hands. The boy, no, not a boy anymore, not quite, moved with the fluidity that hadn't been there a year ago. Every strike was precise, every dodge was economical. The wild, untamed force of nature that had crashed into Wakanda's borders had been refined into something sharper. But refinement wasn't the same as containment. T'Challa cleared his throat. Goku spun, instantly alert before relaxing into a grin. Hey, Panther, ready for another spar? T'Challa shook his head. No, today we do not train. Goku blinked. Huh? Your time here is over, T'Challa said simply. It is time for you to leave. For once, Goku was silent. His tail, usually flicking with restless energy, went still. T'Challa expected protest, argument, maybe even defiance. Instead, Goku exhaled, long and slow, and nodded. Yeah, he said. You're right. No hesitation, no fear, just acceptance. T'Challa had seen many warriors in his life, but this one was definitely something different. Goku didn't even ask why. He didn't need to. Wakanda had given him knowledge, discipline, and even a weapon. But it wasn't his home, not truly. The world beyond was vast, full of battles he had yet unfought. Full of battles yet unfought. Foes yet unmet. And Goku he was hungry for more. T'Challa could see it in his eyes, the same fire that had burned when he first challenged the Black Panther to a fight a year ago. But now that fire was tempered, directed. "Where will you go?" T'Challa asked. Goku shrugged, slinging the power pole over his shoulder. "Wherever the strong guys are," a grin. "Maybe I'll find that guy with the shield you told me about. Or that green monster." T'Challa almost smiled. "You are not ready for the green monster, my apprentice. But I shall give you a GPS to find your way around this world as a parting gift." The pteranodon screeched as it landed, its massive wings kicking up dust. Goku patted its scaled neck before turning back to T'Challa. No grand speeches, no sentimental farewells, just a nod. "Thanks, Panther." T'Challa inclined his head. "Remember what you learned." Goku's grin was all teeth. "How could I forget?" With that, he leapt on the creature's back, and with a mighty beat of its wings, they were airborne. T'Challa watched as the boy, who was now his student, in a way, disappeared into the horizon. Destined for great things, the thought came unbidden, but T'Challa didn't dismiss it. If Shuri's theories were correct, he would be a growing force when he matures. One that could shake the world, for better or for worse. But as T'Challa turned back toward the palace, he felt no fear, only certainty. Wherever Goku went next, he was definitely going to leave his mark. Goku's phone activated, the sleek Wakandan holographic map that projected out of the screen in its blue glow illuminating his face. As he soared through the clouds on his pteranodon, the device pinpointed his location in real time, displaying the terrain, weather patterns, and even energy signatures of certain technologies, far beyond anything he'd seen in the Savage Land, which was really none to begin with, in all honesty. His finger swiped across the projection, zooming in on the mountainous region in China's Hunan province. According to the map's data logs, the area had a secret organization of fighters. That was the rumor. And he thought, perfect. Goku's tail flicked in anticipation. If there was one thing Kraven and T'Challa had both taught him, it was that where there was power, there was opportunity. His pteranodon screeched in protest as he nudged it downward, descending toward the mist-shrouded peaks. Below, Emerald Forest stretched endlessly, broken only by jagged cliffs and the occasional ancient temple nestled in the valleys. As they landed near a secluded village, Goku hopped off, with his power pole strapped securely across his back. The air here was different, thick with the scent of pine and something else. Something electric. Alright, so that's the training art with Goku and the Black Panther. I hope you guys liked it. Once again, this is a remaster of a Goku and Marvel Goku and Marvel story I did 3 years ago. I'm just refining it and adding things, making it better, and the pictures are way better. So I hope you guys like it, man. If you did, like and subscribe. Till the next time. Go.